We'll get to some telephone callers in just a moment. We do want to point out Steve Millington joining me, Bill Colley, this morning on News Radio 1310 KLIX, as well as newsradio1310.com. Go there to the website, click on the Listen Live button. You can hear us anywhere all around the world. If you're not hearing us, that may be a problem going on with your hearing, and you need to see Dr. Christine Pickup, a doctor of audiology at Mount Harrison Audiology in Rupert. She'd like to open your world to new sounds and also experiences. A new hearing device is available, which and I got to tell you about this. It's the high tech now that we've got when it comes to dealing with these things is incredible, and sometimes people will never even notice you wearing them. This works with the brain to help those with hearing loss hear more naturally than any previous aid on the market. There's a 2-week free trial. Call today to schedule a fitting appointment. Open your world to better hearing. You can call Mount Harrison Audiology, 312-0957. That's 312-0957. Telephone number to reach the program this morning, 736-0300. That's 736-0300. Things have gotten quiet, Steve, on the state level. Only one county Republican committee defected from Mike Crapo, and then it stopped.
Can I just make one comment before we go there? I'm going to put on my not Twin Falls County Republican hat. I'm going to put on my Twin Falls County Fair Foundation hat.
Sure.
And we had the Anything Potato
Saturday night.
Good crowd of people. Excellent tasting tables of all kinds of flavors. There was a group of people who were, I perceived them to be Peruvian of descent, and they had put together a nice potato treat that was just delightful. A little bit on the spicy side, but real good. And then everything you can imagine potato around that room, candies, desserts. Thank you, Magic Valley, for supporting Anything Potato. It was a fun time.
Peruvians are well known for having spread the potato around the world.
And you know, they put it in a kind of like a cookie sheet pan and just sliced it up and a piece about the size of your index finger and a little garnish on top of it. And I am not a fan of spicy foods. I just can't do that. But you know, I'd be the good guy, go around and get a little bit of everything. So I did, and I ate it, and I thought, I don't think I could make this a main meal, but boy, that was tasty.
Now, the question I think a lot of people are asking, did Steve Yates suddenly ride herd on all of the other county committees to keep them in line?
I don't think that Mr. Yates was completely impassive on that thing. I think he started making contacts and making phone calls and what's going on and what's your position and where are you and how are we going to handle this. We did have one county, Idaho County, defected and said we are going to refuse to support Mike Crapo because he dumped Donald Trump. And at one point last weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning, I was getting texts that said could be as many as 8 counties that were going to jump on that bandwagon. Evidently, I got disavowed because I have not seen any more text messages yesterday or this morning saying that all these counties have jumped ship. I do know that the the state party organization was actively on the phone yesterday, calling and checking and wanting to know positions. And so I think they are going down the list and making their head counts and seeing if who is going to jump ship. So I haven't heard of any more other than this one Central Committee in Idaho County.
Mike Crapo has made it into popular culture, though, because he was referenced a week ago Saturday on Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
First time I think probably anybody in politics in Idaho has made it that far.
He made the top of everybody's watch list. So that, you know, I kind of understand, you know, that there's many of us that have been just a little bit more than a little bit dismayed, disgusted perhaps with all of these allegations that are beginning to surface and all this crap. But at the same time, he's still our nominee. And if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound.
I don't think Crapo's alone. Channel 8 over in Idaho Falls says that Evan McMullen has been drawing huge crowds with his appearances in eastern Idaho. And so there are a lot of people who are willing, and he's got an impressive resume. They're willing to take a look at this guy, at least a look, if not
Yes.
necessarily get behind him.
I was on full disclosure again. I got on his website yesterday morning and looked at some of his position points, and he's got nice, concise bullet points on various things. One was on education, one was on debt, one was on immigration. There was about 6 or 8, maybe 8 or 10 of them all together. Can't remember all of them now, and I thought to myself, well, this is very interesting. The guy's put in a lot of work. He has got good position points, and none of them are really lengthy, verbiage wise. 2 to 3 paragraphs, maybe long paragraphs, but not more than 2 or 3 paragraphs on any one point. And some impressive backgrounds. Uh, Master's degree from Wharton School at University of Pennsylvania, I think
Gosh,
that
same school
is.
Donald Trump went to. Yes.
Yeah, and some experience with the CIA, but he is making a lot of points, especially in eastern Idaho and Utah, big time down there.
We'll get back to more discussion on these topics coming up in just a few minutes. Steve Millington joining us in the studio with Bill Colley on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. It's 38 at 840. Our guest in the studio, Steve Millington, is the chairman of the Twin Falls County Republican Party, and he's taking some of your telephone calls too as well. Bill Colley with you on Top Story too on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. It's 844. It's 38. I wanted to mention my friend Dr. Eric F. Jones, if I could, for a moment, because we're dealing with a lot of people out there who are a little bit skittish about getting on the bandwagon with big pharmaceuticals who are constantly pushing prescription drugs for all of your ills. He's using a holistic, systemic approach to wellness, and he's been doing this for almost a quarter century with master's and doctoral degrees in marriage and family therapy. Dr. Eric F. Jones uses methods of alternative healing, naturopathy, medicinal herbs, nutrition, sound waves, intellectual, cognitive self-regulation, and apathy. These help remedy and manage mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual challenges. He's currently accepting new patients, and he has evening and Saturday appointments open. Telephone number 731-7178, and you can reach him on Facebook. Eric F. Jones, PhD, mental health and wellness therapist, and that's Eric with a C. 736-0300, the telephone number. And Steve, we've got a telephone caller.
Well, great. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. We are getting down to the wire, and of course, they're turning up the fire. We've got to stay focused. I'm seeing some third-party candidates on the web and everything else where they're admitting that all they're trying to do is stop both these candidates from getting enough votes. So they're admitting they're siphoning off votes, trying to turn it into some kind of election thing at the end. But by doing that, they're also admitting that they're pretty much going to help the Democrat win. Because the Democrats, they've got their electoral votes pretty much almost sewed up. We have to show up in droves and get the Republican in. I can't say it enough. I'm not sure what Donald Trump's going to do. Wasn't my first candidate. He wasn't my fifth candidate. But Hillary is never, ever been my candidate. I know what she's going to do if she gets in, and I'll take my chances with Donald Trump.
I want to thank him. I
Thank
think a lot
you.
of us in the beginning, weren't sure about Trump, but at this stage of the game,
It's got to be a anti-Clinton deal. We just can't handle her in there. Holy Moses, that would be the worst wreck imaginable.
we have another caller. Caller, you're up next on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com.
Good morning.
Good morning. I would agree with they're just trying to siphon off votes off of Trump, all these last-minute candidates. Where's all this money coming from? Where's this guy coming from? And if you really study McMullen, you'll find that he was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, elitist group, so wants world government. He's for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would economically, politically combine us with 11 Pacific Rim countries, with China possibly getting into that, so we give up our sovereignty. And so the guy is a phony conservative. He can say all he wants to now, but his past record certainly doesn't indicate that he would certainly bring back independence and be a constitutionalist. He may claim that now, but I always wonder where all these guys are getting their funding. And I wouldn't be surprised that if you really check out the funding, but it's all about trying to deny Trump the victory, siphoning off, as the previous caller pointed out, and at this point in time.
Well, I thank you for the call. We'll note, too, as well, since we're doing full disclosures, that it's possible Evan may be joining Steve and I next week, and we'll have an opportunity with him, and your opportunity, too,
yes, all
to
you
get some of those questions
all you
answered.
listeners out there. Bill thinks maybe we should have an answer from his campaign organization by the end of this week, that we can maybe get him on for an extended period of time early next week. And we'll have a little bit more conversation with Evan McMullen.
And in fact, he can basically drive in and
yeah,
it's not far.
If we can coerce him, we'll try to get him to drive up here from Utah and sit down, and then we can lock him in the room, and he doesn't get out until he answers the right questions.
If he hits the road by 6 and he doesn't have too much of a bottleneck around the construction in Rupert, he'll be here.
Yep, we'll be in good shape.
We have to mention telephone number 736-0300. Steve Millington and Bill Colley with you today on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. And, of course, Steve is the Republican Party chairman here in Twin Falls County, Idaho, and you're on the air. Go ahead.
Well, yesterday I was in Salt Lake, and I was driving around doing business, and I would hit Seek and run into the AM talk shows, the local ones. And at one point, or more than one point, I got the feeling that people from Utah were voting for Evan McMullen because he was a certain religion. And I thought, well, have you checked this guy out? And if you do, you realize that he's nothing more than an attempt to take away the votes in Utah in case it's that close. And it's nothing more than a disruption. And in the end, it would be a way to help Hillary.
Well, I'm a co-religionist with Tim Kaine, and I'm sure not voting for him.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So, now, I could be wrong about this, but that's not how I feel at this point. And then one more point. There was another interview with a pastor down there. The pastor was talking about, well, I'm offended and my moral right, my morality doesn't allow me to want to vote for Trump. But then he went back and talked about Hillary, and I said, it isn't hard to realize that Hillary and her husband are, as filthy as they get. It's very obvious, and the only reason they're not in jail is because nobody's been able to prove it or have the will to prosecute them. So in the end, after he hem-hawed around all this time, he goes, well, ultimately, it's immoral not to vote, so I've got to vote for Trump. And I thought, well, you could have said that in 30 seconds. And you see, when we preface our statements with all this, with our when we we make a statement, and it's to somehow make sure that people don't have a low opinion of us because we're voting for Trump. In the end, it has nothing to do with us at this point. It has to do with America and saving our country. Thanks, guys.
I want to thank him for the call.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Good comments.
I think a lot of people, I was over at Senator Risch's office yesterday, and I was in conversation with some of the folks on his staff, and we were talking about how there really aren't a lot of hot races in Idaho. So obviously a lot of our discussion is the presidential contest.
Right now it sure is.
Because we know that in an average election year, if you're a Republican running statewide here, you're going to rack up 75 to 80% of the vote. So those people, even Mike Crapo, is safe despite the fact he annoyed some other Republicans out there. But the fact of the matter is, as a friend of mine who works for this same company at a radio station in South Dakota said, he was here about a year ago. He's the former mayor of his city in South Dakota, hosting a talk show now. He said he has never seen anything like this whole Trump situation in his life. And I don't know how we've gotten here, but the fact of the matter is, I saw Trump last night doing a live interview on Fox just before his rally in, what was it, Wisconsin?
I think he was in Green Bay.
And he sounded, to listen to him, he was calm, he was collected, and and I thought that all of these worries that he's somehow going to go into the Oval Office and then just start pushing buttons and blowing up the world. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Well, and there's another aspect of this thing, and that is if we look at the preferences and the directions of the Constitution of the United States, and we look at this election as more of a constitutional mandate, it becomes very clear and you reach that conclusion very easily that Donald Trump is really our only answer. We can be upset with and be unhappy with some of his personality characteristics, but the fact remains that at least he understands what a constitution is and how we would go about supporting, defending, and maintaining.
It's 8:53. Steve Millington in studio with us on Top Story on KLIX with Bill Cully. It's 39. And Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, says she'd rather go with Trump if she can't be president because she said Hillary will start World War III.
And that's not the only one. Yesterday on one of the blogs I read, there was an article from a minister, some politico from Russia, and I can't even pronounce his name, so I won't even try. But his comment was that if Hillary Clinton follows the same path as Barack Obama has the last 8 years and continues to assault the Russian sovereignty, we will definitely have a war between the United States and Russia with Hillary Clinton as president. Therefore, Americans should vote for Donald Trump to avoid that kind of a conflict with Russia.
It would certainly dilute the talent in the National Hockey League.
Yeah. And I read that and I thought to myself, okay, I kind of like that. And then I thought, wait a minute, is there an ulterior motive in there somewhere? But he has a good point. Now, one of the leaders in the German parliament made the same comment. The conversation, the angst, the lack of diplomatic resolve between the United States and Russia is becoming so glaring and so blatant that if it isn't, we're almost on a war footing right now because those two powers are at such odds one with the other that it wouldn't take much, if anything, to tip either one or both of them off the edge. And he said, it's unsettling to much of the European continent to have those two guys fighting with each other. Actually, they're not fighting. They're just having a bully match in the hallway at school, but they're pushing each other back up against the lockers and screaming names at each other. And at some point, somebody's going to swing. And that's when things get ugly. My dad was a custodian in high school for the later years of his working career. And he said, if I come across a situation like that, the first thing I would do is go down and separate the two of them. Because he said, the longer they stand there and push and shove, the bigger the crowd gets and the more pressure there is for somebody to throw a punch.
We got about a minute and a half, and I believe we have a caller with us. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air on KLIX. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make this quick. Bill, you was talking about pushing the buttons. If anybody pushed the buttons, it'd be Hillary because she doesn't know what they are.
Good point.
During a fainting spell, she'll fall face first down on top of them.
It's in a fainting spell. It's interesting that Hillary has to have so many days off to prepare for her debate.
Bed in the black van they haul her around in so they can stretch her out there when she's having one of her spells.
Trump has never got off the campaign trail. I'm sure that his campaign personnel, I call them his handlers, the campaign personnel are pounding him behind the scenes. Let's watch out for this, and here's an issue, and watch out for this, and here's an issue, and we want to make this point, we want to make that point. But he continues to make his campaign presentations. He's all over everywhere. He's still visiting with people. He's still talking. And Hillary went into hiding like Friday or Saturday, and we haven't heard or seen a word from her since then.
We'll be seeing more of you later this week, Thursday and Friday.
Yes, I think we will. As I understand it, you're going to get a chance to take a day or two of personal leave, and I will be here Thursday and Friday.
So a friend coming in to see the game on Thursday night in Boise, so I got to pick him up at the airport during the day, and then it's a late night at the ball game. I'd never make it in to do the job on Friday.
Yeah, that's true. And that's going to be a real problem for me. Now, Wednesday night, we got the debate, and that's going to run until probably 10 o'clock our time. And then you got to make your notes and get ready for the Thursday show. And then Thursday night, we got that wonderful ball game. And this is a conflict ball game for me. I think it's Boise State University and Brigham Young University. So it's a conflict ball game for me.
It's either blue or it's blue and orange,
That's right. And I'll be up late watching it. And then I got to be back in here Friday morning. This could be a long week.
This is the third place I've worked with a big team had blue and orange in college football, so that's who I'm going with.
Okay, that's a good choice. Good choice.
Also, they're 14th in the country. How do you bet against them?
We got to go with them.
We've got news coming up. Want to thank Steve Millington for joining us this morning. Top story with Bill Colley on News Radio 1310, KLIX, newsradio1310.com. It's 38. 9 o'clock news from Fox is just ahead.